come through with the ABS demo. I usually turn around up there, Booth, you can come flying.
Shall I go this way?
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah,
it's a good,
whichever.
It's a good one. So it's going to be in a road mode, rain, road or dynamic, and he's going to bury the brakes. So I'll let him go. When we first started doing these test ride days and demos, a lot of bikes didn't have ABS, and BMW obviously did. So now a lot of brands have ABS, and I would say, you know, that's a great thing. The ABS on these bikes, especially the bigger bikes, is at a very high standard. So jump over on the grass so we can really see. This is going to be hard acceleration with video game brake, not any squeeze.
I heard that the ring mode is having like a 30% off.
Huh?
30%.
The GS?
No, apparel.
Oh,
For the GS, happy great.
yeah.
For the GS, happy great.
Straight away, deposit.
Can let go that 1200, can time to upgrade.
Maximum stability.
No holding back.
Sorry,
can you please stop talking?
No fussing around. Really pulls up the bike quicker than you can get ABS off. It's fact, the systems. Now if you look over here, what we're going to do is do a hard brake from bitumen onto gravel. It's still going to be in a road mode. Come and have a look, get close. You can stand around here. He's going to come in now. He's going to bury the brakes on the bitumen and keep them buried as he transfers onto the gravel. So you're on the road, you're in a road mode, bury the brakes, and then it goes into the didn't change his brake pressure, it was just a full emergency brake.
I think probably it's
Oh, yeah. This kind of tire, when you corner,
he wants you to bring you up.
Yeah.
Modulating.
You're right.
The line is a very, very subtle skid, but it's not a lock-up. You don't feel the front get weird. It's really stable. Even in a bit of deeper gravel, even when the camber gets a little bit weird, and it pulls him up right here. So that's a bit of a saver. Now in the beginning, until 2013, all the ABS was road ABS. If you went off-road, you'd have the option to turn it off. From 2013, with the first water-cooled, we got enduro ABS. Now the system allows a small amount of slip before the pads are released, micro. So at some point where Shane's traveling at 40 kilometers an hour, the wheels are still turning, but they're doing 35. So it's by letting the tires bite, letting the brakes work. When you're in a road mode, it senses the micro bit of slip and really does a lot of releasing, which can give you the heebie-jeebies when you want brake pressure and the system's saying no. The enduro mode is pretty impressive. Very impressive. This will be an enduro, not enduro pro. The back wheel shouldn't lock up if that's the case. High speed, bury the brakes. So he's burying the brakes like a video game. Okay, this isn't gentle and oh yeah, makes me nervous, or I'm an advanced rider so I use my advanced technique. This is bury the brakes. It's a corner, it's cambered, and the gravel gets a bit thicker, and the stability is off the planet. Yeah, it really is. If you're messing around and come into a corner too fast, the ABS has its limits. You didn't brake when you should have. You've come into the corner too fast, you might have problems. But if you need to wash off speed in a hurry, and you get the speed down before the corner, the ABS can work its magic. You will feel sometimes a shimmy, like Shane probably felt a shimmy then because you're really sensitive to it. It didn't even really look like it visually, but enduro mode will find the camber and it will wiggle the bike a little bit, and that's okay because it's slowing you down. Yeah, but it doesn't lock up. In enduro pro mode, we'll show that now. A few rear brake skids. So the next level of demo is for an advanced off-road rider who wants to use the back brake to turn the bike. In enduro mode you can't. The system's mad for people up to a certain level, and if you're at a high level of off-road riding and you use the rear brake to do manoeuvres and skids and back it into corners, turn it to enduro pro, you still have ABS on the front, enduro ABS on the front, but you can lock up the back brake. And that's great for guys that want it. releases on the rear. That's it. Traction? Yep, so that's the ABS package. It's not switchable on the new models, that's gone. But in the models with Pro, you don't need to switch it off, because Enduro Pro lets you have all of the fun and maneuverability, but still have the ABS. Now we switch it to traction control. ABS brakes, traction control throttle. We're going to go in rain mode, and he's going to feed it the berries, yeah, on gravel with 130 horsepower. Rain? Yep. So imagine on a wet road, you're nervous, bitumen, worse than this morning. You've got a high-powered bike with knobbies on a sus surface. This is berries, full speed with 100 horsepower. Just trying to snap the throttle cable, even though it doesn't have a throttle cable. So that's what the security you get from traction control. Riding on the wet, if you're riding the bike smart and to the conditions, you should never have a problem. Even if you hit a bit of diesel, even if you hit a manhole cover. We play around with this on tram tracks in Melbourne in the rain, going along the tram tracks on these or a double R with 200 horsepower and bury it, and it senses the slip so quick, the power's taken away, there's no 180s and so on. So that's an awesome system for when you want maximum security, and sometimes we just do, you know, when the conditions are sus. Dynamic? Nah, just go to, you know what traction control off is? Rev limiter, we don't need to do that. Do you want to do off? Or go straight to dynamic? Your call.
Yeah, or enduro.
Yeah, let's do enduro. So the dynamic mode, we'll skip a few. This is enduro traction control. So steer it in, axle throttle. You can get the back wheel to drift, okay? And depending on, you can't do that in rain mode, it's too invasive. In enduro mode and enduro pro to a more extent, you can drift the bike. And the bike becomes crashable now because of the surface you might be on or the camber you might be on. So you've got to be respectful. It's nice, it's a good safety net. I would say it makes a rider look pretty good. But if you get the combination of a slick surface and a pretty aggressive negative camber and you give it too much, you can do a 180. So it's not the full safety net. But riding off-road, part of the skill and the joy is throttle steering a bit through corners. You don't want to ride on the gravel all day in rain mode. That's not why we ride off-road. But everyone's at a different level. The security you get of enduro mode, you could feel very comfortable to take off from here in enduro mode and gradually build your throttle inputs so that you can feel the stability that's there. Too much steering, too much camber, you can high side or low side. So the bike is crashable. Don't try to test its limits. But enduro mode with the braking package and the traction control package makes riding one of these bikes on off-road surfaces fun, and you've got a pretty decent safety net there. In dynamic mode in between, you would see a really subtle drift, and that translates to more sporty riding on the bitumen. So your traction control doesn't intervene every time the tyre hits a pothole or you know, the power sort of sets it off. So you've got something for everything: rain, road, dynamic, enduro and enduro pro. 5 settings, 5 clear different situations. It's pretty easy to pick the right one. If you had 20 settings, you'd probably have 15 wrong ones. Yeah? Any questions about ABS or traction? Okay, it's great. Great to show you guys this sort of stuff because it can be a bit of an eye opener if you haven't seen it before. You can turn traction off. You won't, but it can be done. The bikes allow that for creek crossings and sand and maybe the odd sneaky wheelie. But with it on, it's super practical for off-road riding. And no questions at all? Must have been a good briefing.
It's good, mate.
Yeah. Like first one in 4 years. Okay, great. So now the test ride goes off-road. Head up Sylvia Creek. The surface is good. The moisture